About 4:45, we'll call this meeting to order. This is a special call council meeting. This April 4th, 2017. Let the record show that all council members are present. Let's start off this meeting. We've had, I think this will be our 12th meeting where the council has discussed this project in one way or the other, plus one sound test field trip. And a few phone calls and several emails. And it's been rather interesting for us, to say the least. Now, for one, I'm ready to move on. However, the vote comes out of this council. So at this time, I'll make a motion to accept Mr. Ridley's revised contract, and we'll ask him to point out the changes of the new revised contract. But we'll need a second to be able to listen to that information.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second.
Mayor, council members, the contract you have before you is very close to what we had before. We've made some changes in section 3.2. We addressed what you just talked about, the fact that we've had several public meetings and a sound test at the property. In section 4.2, we clarified that any funding had to be maintained by December 31st, 2017, and that it had to be federal and/or state funding to limit just private fundraising activity. Prevent, I guess, just only private fundraising activity, and to ensure that they actually get this grant. If they don't, then the plan would revert back to the city, which was what was originally contemplated. Section 4.8 is an addition. The restricted portion of Track 2 as outlined in Exhibit A shall only be used for archery, air-powered guns, or non-firearm training activities. And if you look at Exhibit A, there's a change there that shows a buffer zone in the north, I believe, I'm not looking at my map, it would be the northeast corner. The 13.86 acres can only be used for non-sound.
We're retaining that they're restricted and not that they can use archery or air pistols in that location, but they can't use firearms.
We still own it?
Yes.
Mr. Ridley, may I ask a
Sure.
question? In the Tennessee Code, Title 3917-316, noise control at sports shooting ranges, there's some discussion about being 180 feet from adjoining property lines. This 23 acres or 600 plus or minus feet, is that 180 rolled into that, or is the 180 added on to that, or 800 plus or minus? I'm just curious.
I'm really not sure I could answer that right now, but I'd ask probably the engineer for the map.
Well, there's
May I ask Mr. Wattenberg to that, or if
one thing that may just address that whole issue is when we put that restricted area in there, that puts another 13 plus acres buffering the cabin there. So that 180 feet, I would think we wouldn't even come close to 180 feet to any of the adjoining properties doing that, if I'm interpreting it correctly.
Yeah, I think that's what's, it's 636 feet down the back side.
If you look at the arrow, you can see where the cabin is, which is not on this, but and the cabin is up, well up past that bottom, the southern line, southern line there. So.
I think what she was asking, right on this property line right here, according to state law, they have to stay 150 or 180 feet off
of our own property,
off of what the city has left.
And just
does that apply to this 13.86 acres?
For shooting it, for gunpowder fired activities, I'd say yes. For archery and air-powered rifle.
Okay.
The only other change in section 8 is that the closing will be held on or before April 10th, 2017, if this contract is adopted.
Mr. Attorney, have you read the agreement between the nonprofit and the TWRA?
I have.
Do you recall if there is a required student information or student or safety at least once a year?
I don't recall whether or not that's in there or not. It's been a couple months since I did read up that.
I see one of them shaking their head in the back. Yes, it is.
It is. Range has to be, the facilities have to be open for hunter education available. And that's more than once or twice a year. That's pretty well at TWRA's discretion.
Very well, that's good.
That was one of the parameters of the, being able to get the grant. That's what it's all.
Yes, I haven't had that. The other concern that I've had from the property owners, and my concern too, is the entrance to the Albert Fry Road and the road that leads to the shooting range. I'd like to discuss very carefully that it will be brought up to Crossville Regional Planning Commission standards with at least a 50-foot right-of-way and a 3-lane mouth off of Peavine Road onto the Albert Fry Road. Is there a possibility that this council, Mr. Ridley, could put a restriction like that on the transfer?
My understanding, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Albert Fry Road is a county road, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so I think in order to enforce something like that, then the city would need to annex the road contiguous out to the property if we're talking about other restrictions on the.
Well, it's part of the Crossville Regional Planning Commission. It's within the 5-mile area of the city limits.
Sure, we could put that in the contract.
Could the county do that?
I don't know that we enforced it.
I mean, could they if the county commission?
If the county chose to, yes, absolutely.
Well, I think that's part and parcel because that's one of the main concerns that I heard from the property owners as well as the prospective shooters out there, that the road was too narrow and that the entrance was not of the caliber to have a $3 million facility there. And I'd like to see that taken care of today, and that we assure these future the future use of this property be at least up to the Crossville Regional Planning Commission standards.
And just so I understand, who would be responsible then for upgrading the road under that?
It's my understanding that at this time it is a county road.
So,
I believe it's on the county's tar and chip schedule.
so the county would have to approve the upgrade.
But they would have to approve any improvements over the standard tar and chip. Is there any concession for revising the motion that it could be approved subject to the county doing that?
Well, I don't think you can force the county to do that. That road's in the regional planning zone as we speak. So what would make it be forced to be widened? It's
Because it
already
would be
in
part
zone.
of the contract, Mr. Mayor.
Contract is not with the county.
No, I'm asking that the nonprofit organization and the TWRA, sir, make sure that they have adequate ingress and egress to that property. And to my understanding, that road is not wide enough.
I would agree with that.
I had trouble passing even a large truck. The other day, I had to get over kind of in somebody's driveway to give him room, so that's my experience on that road.
Mayor, I know we're not supposed to have any public comment. If I could ask you to have Mr. Wattenbarger come up, I've got a couple of questions I'd like to ask him if I could.
Can I just make a quick editorial comment?
Yes, sir.
This does indeed become eligible or under the category of an economic development project. CDBG funds are available for doing infrastructure to facilitate economic development projects. So that's a possible avenue we could go and either us or the county apply for it and get that infrastructure squared away as far as the paving.
This is a special call meeting, and then public comment is not allowed unless someone has a motion on the floor. Anyhow, unless someone makes a motion to suspend the rules, we need a second on that. And
I'll second it.
I didn't make it.
Oh, I thought Danny did. I'm sorry.
I did.
Do we have to do that to just ask Mr. Wattenbarger questions? Because it's not that he's making public
There's a couple
comment.
of things he explained to me that I'd like to clarify for everybody.
We'll just go ahead and try and follow the rules as set forth. Motion and a second to suspend the rules to ask Mr. Wattenbarger a question. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Mr. Wattenbarger.
Good afternoon, guys. Thank you.
I've had a couple of the property owners that's asked me, you and I talked a little bit the other day about the shooting lanes and the walls that you're proposing to build. Could you explain that a little bit for everybody?
Well, what we did, we went down and toured Carroll County when it first was established, and they were having a lot of trouble with sound buffers. So I actually made the suggestion that we change from mulch in the walls to going to a road. And that was one of our, one thing we could do to really help. It's going to cost more money to do the mulch, the rubberized mulch and stuff, but it will absorb a lot more of the sand. So each trap and skeet field has a wall separating each area. There's no way to extend those walls because the skeet range has got, all those are set in standard format. But we could put those in with rubber mulch in those walls, which would definitely help with the sound control significantly to do that. And that would also be part of the rifle range, pistol range also.
Good deal.
While you're up there, is there any money in the budget of the nonprofit organization and TWRA to bring the roads up to Crossville Regional Planning Commission standards?
I'll be honest, the road going into Carroll County is much smaller than this road, and it's about 2 miles long to get into the complex. It goes into their industrial park, and that's the way they've got theirs, but no, we didn't budget any money at all to do that, and I definitely couldn't answer for the county if they'd be willing to make that investment.
Let me caveat into his statement though. My understanding is this is probably going to be a two-phase project. If there is a second phase, could we go after that funding as part of the second phase?
I think that could be a possibility, but without approving that with TWRA, I couldn't guarantee that.
Did you not tell me, and I may have heard this, that you talked to the county and this is on the schedule?
The mayor did.
It's to be tar and chip, but it's not.
But if you tar and chip that road, put a good tar and chip on it, it's got a pretty good base, it'll automatically widen it some.
Yeah.
So, thank you, James.
All right, thank you.
James, will you just clarify for everybody about any night shooting and what time it will cut off and so forth? Just
Basically, most ranges that are across the state are set to be, from X time during the day to dusk. Dusk in the summer is a little bit later in the day. Dusk in the winter time is a lot earlier in the day. So, you know, dusk is typically, that's the way most ranges are set up. As far as nighttime shooting, we don't have any intentions of doing that right now, but if you had a lightning storm come in the morning at a scheduled event, you might need the opportunity to finish that event that day, so you might need to shoot, you know, for an extra hour or something to finish the day. But as far as shooting late in the night, absolutely not.
So the nonprofit and TWRA are willing to say that they won't shoot after dusk unless there is a weather delay.
With special, with special needs,
circumstances.
special circumstances. I think that would be something that could be said. Without going to the board, without talking to TWRA, I couldn't guarantee that.
Right.
But I
That's a
don't think
fair
that,
statement.
yeah, that's a fair statement that dusk would be our shut-off time.
So this is not going to be a lighted facility anyhow. This is not going to be a lighted facility.
It
so
is
you-
not
you wouldn't
proposed to be
able-
lighted right now.
So
We
you-
will have security lights up and
Right.
stuff just for, you know, for safety stuff. But to have a lighted field at this point, we're not, that's not proposed at this time.
Which pretty much then nature dictates that shooting will stop.
Mayor, can I respectfully ask you to amend your motion to put in the agreement that there will be no night shooting unless it's law enforcement, and they will work to, I talked to Chief Eddie the other day, and they do it once a year, like in October, around 7:30.
Sure.
I think they ought to respect these neighbors and let them know when would be a good time for them to do everything.
No night shooting other than law enforcement. So how else do I need to amend that motion? Just Graham on the regional or the city's
I
already got it?
want a better road, and I'm not satisfied with this contract, because even though Carroll counties may be used to having 2 10-foot lanes, I think we should be, and I think we should have a 3-lane mouth, and I respectfully request that the nonprofit organization puts that in their budget, amend the budget to get this road up to standards of the Crossville Regional Planning Commission.
Guys, like I say, we've already, we're 2 years over our budget now. Most of our expenses have went up significantly in that 2-year period, what we budgeted for.
It's basically a request for you to work with the county and TWRA and them.
Yeah, but we're willing to work with
Better
that
road.
and see, but
Right.
there's no way we can guarantee it.
Well, you can just try.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I know I'm probably out of order, but why not Chestnut Hill? It's a better road, it's got more outlets off of it, it feeds into the interstate better. I mean, you've got eastbound, you got 3 outlets, westbound, you got 3 outlets, and when you get to Peavine Road, you got 3 lanes going north, 1 dedicated to eastbound I-40.
Thank you, sir. We are running into our next meeting at this time. We've run out of time. Roads can be addressed. We do have the road coming in the backside that can be addressed as well. At this point, we do have a motion on the floor. We do have a second. Any other questions from the council?
Was your amended motion seconded? The amended motion is no night shooting?
I amend my motion to have the,
Okay, I just didn't hear.
okay. Any other questions? Roll call vote, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Graham,
Pass.
Councilmember Wyatt,
Aye.
Councilmember Harris,
Aye.
Councilmember Shanks.
Aye.
Mayor Mayberry,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Graham.
I wish to state for the record that I'm strongly opposed to approving a contract that doesn't have the standards and qualifications and requirements of the Crossville Regional Planning Commission for the road leading down the Albert Fry Road. I am for the shooting range. I am going to vote aye.
Motion carries. Counselor, get your contract straightened out with the additions, and we'll go from there. This meeting's adjourned. We will now open up our work session.
Mayor, we're going to go